So in today's video we're going to be going over one of the 4 timelines within Call of Duty Zombies. Yes, we're doing this because one, this has been waited for like nearly 10 years now, and we're finally getting the Call of Duty storyline. I've got it all written down. First, we would like to thank these like G Emma Skillet 13, Rowan X Gush, Infernal Numeline Kid, sampled underscore text, Mr. Linkers, VG Expert, and please send me help too, because these guys spent 9 hours to put this all together, like getting all it from the actual storyline paper itself and put it all into this document. It must have taken them hours. They said it was a chronorium, and I realised because this actually came from chronorium. So we're going to go through the storyline in the beginning, so let's get right into this. So there was only the Aether and the Keepers. Among them were 2 beings who we'd later know by many names. One would be known as Dr. Monty, and the other as the Shadow Man. Ooh. So that's the beginning of the storyline. That's pretty much the beginning of all of them. September 3rd, 5 AD. Knowing the planet has a gateway to Agartha, the Apothicons send meteors of element 115 to Earth. They believe humanity will one day use element 115 to wage war amongst themselves, opening a rift that would allow the Apothicons to escape to the Dark Aether. Ooh, Dark Aether is told later on, but I don't know if it's in this timeline, but the Dark Aether is where they basically get corrupted and stuff, and everyone knows what element 115 is, so January 15, 1292, that's a massive gap. The Great War between humanity and the Apothicons begins. April 14th, 1294, Sir Pablo Manus is saved from the clutches of Emagua by 4 unknown heroes. They would later be known as Primus. So that's when we first get introduced into our Primus characters, but they just don't have names yet. December 31st, 1299, together with the Keepers, Primus defeat the Apothicons, bring the Great War to an end. That's what they fought back then. January 1st, 1300, before they seamlessly disappeared from history, Primus instructed the Wolf King to begin building Der Draken. Ooh baby, that's where Der Draken came from. September 19th, 1318, honouring the Wolf King Dine's request, his loyal servant Arthur scattered and buried his bones in the grounds of Diadendrak, accompanying by the Wolf King, the King of Wolves. September 20th, 1318, Temporal Rift teleport after Resolution 1295 in 2025 Angola. So that's Leroy, because Leroy, we always called him Leroy, but he actually isn't Leroy. It was Johnny J 25's theory like a long time ago when Diadendrak was like out, like first came out, within the pictures of him, and it literally, he said he was going to be this wolf servant, and Johnny J ended up being right. June 30th, 1908, a meteor contaminating element 15 crashes near the Stony Tunguska River. So that's when it crashes on Shino Numa. August 30th, 1925, Dr. Richtofen joins the Illuminati. That's nice to know. I can't believe they brought that back though. February 1931, large deposits of element 115 are discovered near the Breslau, Germany. Dr. Ludwig Maxis, a German scientist, is sent to investigate. May 10th, 1931, Maxis forms a group 935, an international organization that dedicated to studying of element 115. Maxis tells his scientists they represent the future of technology advancement and will be pioneers of the human discovery. The group will swear to work in the secrecy for their respect to the government, as Maxis says, we can't afford to let powers fall into the wrong hand. November 5th, 1934, Samantha Maxis is born. Her mother dies in childbirth. That's pretty deep, man. That is pretty fucking deep. August 11, 1936, Maxis invites Richtofen to Group 935. He agrees secretly but acting on behalf of the Illuminati interests. April 10th, 1937. The Imperial Japanese Army discovers Element 115 meteor fragments in the swamp within Japanese territory. They build the Rising Sun facility to continue research. Division 9 is created to oversee the operation. So that's where Division 9 is built, to overlook everything that's going on in Shinonuma. Everyone knows that. This one's a good one. June 14th, 1937. The United States government discovers deposits of Element 115 at Groom Lake. So that's where they discover it's at Area 51 on the moon. That's where they notice, the 5 team notice it. July 2nd, 1939. Maxis and Richtofen begin teleportation experiments with matter transfer and prototypes to mild success. The subjects are teleported, but their chemical composition is altered, leaving them canodes, catenotic, I don't know how to spell that, and changed. So that's basically they just die. They die. August 5th, 1939. Using Element 115, Maxis and Richtofen reconstruct one of the teleported corpses from this first time. Initially it obeys, but soon becomes rabid and attacks them. Test subjects is euthanized. So killed. So that was the very first zombie they brought back. September 3rd, 1939, Richtofen begins development on the Wunderwaffe DG2. November 23rd, 1939. Maxis turns to the Reichstag for additional funding. Germany agrees to this request, expressing the interest for their weapons research, teleportation technology, and reanimated the undead subjects. So that's basically, the Germans are really interested in what they're doing. So like they're coming up with the DG and all teleporting so they could get advancement on the war. December 4th, 1939. During the test trial 131, Richtofen and Dr. Schuster successfully teleport a walnut. And I think it's just a fucking walnut, innit? This is the first successful test where the chemical composition of the object is maintained throughout the process. So that's the first time they actually got the teleporter working fully. December 5th, 1939. Edward's walnut delivery fails to impress Maxis, who declares it's a waste of time. He reveals to Richtofen that Group 95 will be soon funded by the Germans. Richtofen worries this would lead to massive defection. He and Schuster decide to continue their teleporting experience behind Maxis' back. So this is where they literally just say, yeah, fuck you, Maxis. We're going to still do that. Come on, Schuster. We're going to go do some teleporting shit. January 4th, 1940. Richtofen and Schuster conduct their first human teleportation test. Richtofen is so confident in its success, he volunteers himself. So this Richtofen's cocky right now. I was like, I'm going to survive this shit. Teleported to the moon, he encounters the MPD, the Aether, begins hearing many voices of corruption, including the Shadow Man. The device then teleports him to Shangri-La. Corrupted by the dark Aether, Richtofen is groundly being driven insane by the obsession to find Agatha. So this is where Richtofen, the original Richtofen from Black Ops and World at War, becomes evil, and he's so obsessed about this, like the MPD and stuff. This is where it literally all comes from, when he becomes really evil and he comes up with his master plan. January 5th, 1940. Richtofen is worshipped by the natives of Shangri-La, and an altar is built in his name. Richtofen encounters the Focus Stone for the very first time. So that's why they decide to make a shrine for Richtofen for the end of the Shangri-La Easter egg. So that's pretty cool. January 23rd, 1940. After a near month absence, Richtofen returns to Schuster with a plan to build Griffin Station. Oh, he just pops out. No, yeah, we're gonna build a base on the moon called Griffin Station. Schuster, be fun. January 24th, 1940. Richtofen renounces his involvement with the Illuminati. When he asked how could he abandon his obligation to the order, he says, Teddy was a liar. Teddy was a liar. March 13, 1914. Construction of Griffin Station on the moon. Frustrated with Max's alignment with Germany, other discretions, Scotland, Group 935 scientists joined the cause. Some Group 935 scientists joined Richtofen because they're getting sick of Maxis. July 13, 1940. Maxis insurrects his assistant Sophia to write a letter to the Reichstag High Command requesting an additional fund. Through his reports that massive production will soon be underway shortly, Darius lacks not only the funding but the significant volumes of Element 115. So Darius right now, the Darius facility, the one that they've been like doing all this testing, it's basically the Element 115 and it is just running out, and they need some more Element 115 so badly. August 1st, 1914. In response to Max's request, Germany creates two facilities for the Group 935. They are the Kino facility, a repurposed theatre, and the asylum facility at the Wittiter Sanatorium in Berlin. So basically, this is where Kino and Verrückt come from. So that's what we're doing when the zombies were. It's because they're former facilities that Maxis made. August 18th, 1940. As per Germany's request, the Japanese Imperial hand over the Rising Sun facility to Group 935. Division 9 remains involved on the site. So that's why some people of Group 935 are at Shinonuma. October 3rd, 1940. Group 935 established a research-based facility in Suburbia near Tuntuscan River. So that's the Collar Dead facility, baby. Collar Dead, one of like my hated map in the world, from me. November 6th, 1940. Group 935 establishes a research facility at Diaz and Draken. So that's where Diaz and Draken is finally coming into the mix, because that was not very taught, because we got a bit of Black Ops 3 in there. June 24th, 1941. Nikolai Belinsky's wife is killed during the German advancement in Soviet Russia and Soviet Union. In an effort to numb the pain, Nikolai increasingly turns to vodka. So this is where Nikolai starts to just start drinking, and he loves drinking now. That's where you get the drunk original Richtofen. January 11, 1942. Maxis gives Fluffy to Samantha. The dog is expected to litter. So this is when Samantha gets Fluffy, and Fluffy's pregnant at the time. So it's where the beginning of our hellhounds there. So that's pretty good. January 20th, 1942. Maxis tests the first file of storage of data on the 7th. Oh, the 7th. January 26th, 1942. On the data 7th, Maxis catalogues the locations with prominent Element 115 deposits. He includes information about its various applications and cities, that the reanimated of the dead cells is possible, and possible side effects. So this is where Maxis is trying to make the perfect undead soldier to come back for the German army. January 30th, 1942. Richthofen completes the Wunderwaffe DG2 prototype. So that's the Wunderwaffe, it's finally made. February 1st, 1942. With Griffin Station complete, Richthofen names Dr. Groff the lead scientist and returns to Earth to continue the Cade with Maxis. Working alongside Schuster, Groff is left to discover how to power the MPD. So that's the pyramid on Moon, and that's basically when they just start to try and like power it and find a way to get it working again, because of the dark ether within Richthofen's head that he really wants to get to it. February 2nd, 1942. In a speech to his staff, Groff talks optimistically about Griffin Station's establishment as a permanent base of operations. So they're making, like, they're saying Richthofen side of it's all made. Oh, here comes one of my favourite bits. April 17, 1942, Maxis develops the ray gun prototype at the Rising Sun facility. H. Porter works on developing the second generation model. So that's basically Dr. Porter helps Maxis build the ray gun, the original ray gun, because Porter was a guy who actually came up with it. We all know this. And then that's when he started working on the ray gun Mark II. So that's the second generation is the Mark II technically. What is on about there? June 13th, 1942. As a result of the temporal rifts in Kino, in 1963 Kino, Monty reaches out across time and offers a little nudge, just a little nudge. One of the nudges is developing Group 935's Element 115 fused elixirs. They created from medical beverages known as Juggernog, Cut Revive, Speed Color, and Double Tap. So that's basically Monty going, yeah, the perks are here, the man. So June 28th, 1942. Group 935 continues development of the weapon upgrade machine. I like how that it doesn't take that long to make the Pack-a-Punch machine, so that's when they're just like, oh yeah, we got these real powerful weapons. Yeah, we're gonna make an upgrade machine. Yeah, let's just make a snazzy upgrade machine. July 18th, 1942. Groft and Schuster unwittingly discover how to charge the MPD. When Schuster kills a rat near the device, the death escalates Belage filling to the tank, changing the device. They report their findings to Richthofen. So that's basically telling, like in the Moon Easter egg when you kill zombies, when you're trying to power up the MPD, that's basically telling you about it, saying one of the Easter egg steps are in the main story. So if we knew this earlier, we might have known how to do that earlier. November 5th, so it's one of Samantha Max's birthdays. 1942, Takeo Mizaki is dispatched by the Emperor to oversee the workings of the Group 935 and the Division 9 at the Rising Sun facility. So Takeo's off to Shinonuma. So, but Division 9 wasn't really canon back then, so but it is now. December 8th, 1942. Richthofen shares the Element 115 based elixir recipes with Griffin Station. They develop Mule Kick. Great peck. So that explains how that it all happens, because it's made from the recipes based on the current medical elixirs they already came up with to make packs. December 9th, 1942. Nikolai's brothers are killed in the Battle of Stalingrad. Poor Nikolai's really poor in this storyline. He loses his wife, he becomes drunk, his brothers die. Well, his brothers die. I always said brothers by accident. I just feel sorry for the kid. December 14th, 1942. Richthofen creates the monkey bomb. December 16th, 1942. In a personal log, Maxis expresses concern over Element 115 impact on Richthofen's behaviour. No longer trusting him, he wonders if it was a mistake inviting him to Group 935. Yes, it was a massive mistake, Maxis. It was the biggest mistake you've ever fucking made. This guy's gonna try and take over the world, baby. December 20th, 1942. Accomplished by Sophia Maxis is transferred to the Kino facility to focus on creating Germany's undead armies. Samantha is left in Richthofen's care. Worst idea in the world. You don't trust Richthofen, and you leave your daughter in his control, where you and Sophia go off somewhere. You stupid idiot, Maxis. January 8th, 1943. Maxis worries he and Sophia have grown too close. He considers sending her away. Poor Sophia, she loves Maxis and she's getting sent away. I feel sorry for her already. January 16, 1943. Nikolai is captured by the German forces during the Battle of Stalingrad. He becomes a subject in the 935 experiments. So that's basically Nikolai. He gets captured by Richthofen. Richthofen just starts experimenting with the damn man. January 27, 1943. Maxis reports success with the subject 26, who valiant outbursts have been greatly reduced. Maxis believes this method of treatment will be 100% effective in most cases. So this is subject 26. This is probably when Maxis tried to perfect an undead corpse to actually work properly. February 2nd, 1943, the Battle of Stalingrad ends. That's historically accurate. I checked that out myself on Google, that one. February 10th, 1943, Maxis reports the treatment has been perfected. He believes if subject 26 can retain the impressions, then 26 hours, then they deliver the zombie army can be accelerated. That's probably why it's called subject 26, because it takes 26 hours to make a zombie actually actually understand what it's doing. February 12th, 1943. After attacking a handler, subject 26 is killed and deemed another setback. I'm hoping that handle isn't what I think it is. I think the handle is Sophia, because that's what they said in Revelations. May 18th, 1943. Harvey Jena begins working with Group 935. Harvey Jena. I don't really know much on him. June 4th, 1943. Primus arrives from Dimension 63 in an effort to prevent the events that are unfolded. They formulate a plan to stop this dimension's Richthofen. Yeah, Primus just pop out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna stop this Richthofen. We just don't know how yet. They just pop out anywhere. June 11th, 1943. Richthofen is contacted from the house by Maxis, who warns test subjects must never be allowed to be awakened. The havoc that could be wreaked upon the future such simple-minded individuals would be catastrophic. Ooh! So I'm guessing he's on about waking the zombies. Oh, god damn it. June 13th, 1943. Taki reports to the Emperor the work being done at the Rising facility is unacceptable. So I'm guessing they're turning into zombies now. July 19th, 1943. Primus Richtofen is teleported to the house of Agatha, reuniting him with Maxis. Oh, they're reuniting them. It's too early in the storyline for that right now. July 24th, 1943. In order of the Emperor, Takeo is taken prisoner by Group 935 and Division 9. He is used as a test subject. So that's when Richtofen gets hold of him. Like, yo, Takeo, you're mine. July 14th, 1944. After a setback and with Subject 26, Maxis reports with new success with the Undead Army. However, he maintains his belief that the Undead Army cannot be controlled or maintained. So, Maxis having doubts now? He's like, no, I can't have doubts. September 2nd, 1944. Pablo Marinos, a Mexican spy, is captured by Group 935 at De Azendrach. Oh, Pablo, poor Pablo. Pablo Marinos, he's a poor soul. May 9th, 1945. In his cell, Pablo writes a vision of a great war. He describes a great battle against the strange, demon-like creatures who were trying to devour the earth. In his vision, he sees 4 knights protecting him from certain death. He makes a note that the knights wore tunics similar to those in Da Hazendrak. Ooh, he's remembering the Primus stuff, because Primus did save him. June 4th, 1945. Nakder and Totem, baby! Oh, first map. It's the first map. It's 10 pages in, and it took it just to get to Nakder and Totem. An Allied plane malfunctions over an airfield and crashes. German army trucks transporting the undead and Element 115 between Group 935 facilities and the struck in the crash. The Marines survived the crash, holding out against the undead as long as possible. So we know Dempsey wasn't part of the Nakder and Totem Marines, and and these Marines basically all died. Ugh, we're getting closer to like some of the main maps now for the Black Ops 1. Sorry. June 17th, 1945. Peter McCain infiltrates Group 935 at Derice. Ooh, damn. Peter McCain. My boy, Peter McCain. June 29th, 1945. Groff and Schuster develop the wave gun. Ooh, so the Russians are coming in now. A bit of Groff's a Russian, so a bit of the Russians are coming in. July 15th, 1945. Richtofen travels to the suburban facility to do further research on the living specimen. As her temporary guardian, he takes Samantha with her. Group 935 begins to transfer 3 test subjects for experiments: Nikolai, Pablo, and Takeo. So they ain't got Dempsey yet, because we know Dempsey hasn't come into the story at all yet. So we know the Rat Collar are dead right now. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a map with Pablo on it. Just after reading that, I wouldn't be surprised. So July 29th, 1945. While Richtofen works at the suburban facility, Group 935 begins development on Deadshot Daiquiri. So I like this is where they come up, like, they develop the perks after, what do you call it? The original 4, they're developing all the other ones. So we know Dr. Monty brought in all the original 4, but all the groups within, like Group 935 and Richtofen are just, like, making all these. The Russians are going to make some later on, like the Red On. August 1st, 1945. Test subjects arrive at the suburban facility for Richtofen's experiments. So I wonder if he's experimenting on he probably is experimenting on Samantha. August 31st, 1945. CIA handler Cornelius Pernell confirms that Peter McKenna successfully infiltrated Group 935 and has been transferred to the asylum facility. Cornelius suspects Group 935 is losing control of their experiments and has sent the Marine Recon Unit to extract McCain. Tank Dempsey is the leader of the squad. So now we've got Tank Dempsey. we got the badass himself coming into the story. September 1st, 1945. Peter is outed as a spy and captured by Group 935. Ooh. Peter McCain he's been spotted. I've gone too far down. Right here. September 2nd, 1945. Rick Toffin reports Pablo has died following the spinal removed. He also reveals he's been performing experiments on Samantha. So he was performing experiments on Samantha. Jesus Christ, fucking hell, Rick Toffin. You fucking moron. So basically, they've took Pablo's spine out of the back and it's just killed him. So that's what, he's dead. He's dead. September 2nd, 1945. World War II ends. Group 935 continue their experiments. So even after the war, they're continuing. September 2nd, 1945. Temporal rifts begin to affect the asylum facility. An urgent report increasing problems with test subjects. Many in the facility have begun hearing voices coming from the walls, including the sobbing of a boy and a girl, screaming, and a man shouting for children to close the windows. So that's the horror effect that's in the asylum facility. Jesus Christ. So they're explaining why they hear there's those sounds within Verrucht. September 3rd, 1945. An outbreak occurs at the asylum facility. Peter McCain escapes. September 6th, 1945. Verrucht. Dempsey, John Banana, Smokey, and the fourth Marine arrive at the asylum facility to find it is overrun by zombies. They fight off the horde as long as they can. Dempsey is apprehended by Group 935. Oh, now they've got all of them. Rick Toffin's got all the characters that he needs before we start playing as them all, like when we first got them at the beginning of Doris. September 6th, 1945. John Banana writes a message and records his last words while being eaten by an undead Smokey. So Dempsey's the only one that technically survives it. The fourth Marine dies, Smokey dies, and John Banana dies. September 10th, 1945. Rick Toffin reports another spy has been captured and will be brought to replace the Mexican test subject. This is test subject is Dempsey. So Dempsey's been caught now by Rick Toffin, and now he's part of the group. September 13th, 1945. Cornelia Pernell attempts to send transmission to Peter McCain, telling him to rendezvous at the Rising Sun facility. So they're off to Shinonuma. So this is where Peter McCain's going to Shinonuma, the original Shinonuma. September 17th, 1945. Dempsey arrives at the suburban facility. So Dempsey's at Call of Dead right now. This is Call of Dead before it even happened, so way before it happened. September 20th, 1945. Rick Toffin documents the personality traits of his test subjects. Dempsey, intellect seems low, but his will is strong. Tucker is still staring at the fall, muttering what sounds like some kind of proverb over and over again. Nikolai has recently begun responding to stimulant, but only after injections of a new serum made up primarily from vodka. He's still getting his vodka, baby. Rick Toffin notes that their minds have been almost entirely broken, with no memory remaining of who they once were. He's brought them that much they can't remember who they were. I feel sorry if he or any of them have kids. I really do. September 24th, 1945. Maxis returns to Doris. He orders Rick Toffin to do likewise, so they may continue their work on the matter transferring device. So they're working on the teleporters again. September 27th, 1945. Rick Toffin returns to Doris with Dempsey, Nikolai, Takia, Samantha. So I think this is post Doris massacre. Shit, too far down. October 1st, 1945. Maxis reports on Rick Toffin's finding to his live test subjects, noting there will be all their baseline physique remains intact. All specified memories have been lost. Oh, poor. There we go. The same day. October 1st, 1945. Inflated to learn Maxis has not been mass producing the DG2 as he swore he would. Richthofen reveals in his plot to destroy Maxis and Samantha, vowing that he will no longer continue his undead army. Oh god, I think this is where Richthofen's gonna just turn his back on Maxis. October 8th, 1945. Groff reports to Richthofen the MPD is nearly ready. Oh, Richthofen's plans coming together. October 12th, 1945. Gross radios Richthofen to inform him that the device has been powered up and is awaiting for conduct. Richthofen says he will produce the Operation Shield and deposit of the Maxis and Samantha. So he's thinking of getting rid of Samantha and Maxis right now. So Richthofen just wants to get them out of the way. Is that the next one? No. October 13th, 1945. Through frustration that the matter transferring test has been largely unsuccessful, Maxis acknowledges that the test subject's departure from their original point of the origin is undeniable. However, Richthofen suggests that the subject has been transported not through space, but time itself, causing Maxis to worry if its irritationable may soon prove illiberal to overcome endeavours. Ooh, it's getting intense now. October 13th, 1945. Maxis and Richthofen performed the teleportation test trial on a subject number 3, 4 and 5. All fail, including test 5, where Maxis used Fluffy. Test 6 fails. Fluffy, now charged, is teleported back into the chamber. Samantha sees Fluffy and runs into the teleporter. Maxis chases after her. Richthofen steals them both and in the test chamber and teleports all three of them. So that's basically the beginning. That's the cutscene of the giant. That one. That's just the intro to the giant. October 13th, 1945. Samantha is teleported to the moon while Groff and Schuster work out the MPD. Running into the MPD, she is drawn inside of it, where she becomes corrupted by the dark aether. So that's explaining how Samantha just got inside the MPD and got control of the zombies. October 13th, 1945. Max is teleported to the crazy place and develops the power to merge with electricity. So, whoa, Maxis goes to fucking Origins. He goes to the underneath Origins. October 13th, 1945. Richthofen returns to the moon. Learning Samantha is trapped in the MPD, he orders Groff to teleport Maxis to the cortex hair out of the device. He also warns Groff to keep an eye out for an evil-looking dog. Oh, so it's that's basically the Hellhound. Fluffy, the first Hellhound, has been made. October 13th, 1945. In an effort to free Samantha, Maxis approaches the MPD and persuades her to come out. Once she's done, Maxis gives her an instruction: kill them all. Maxis kills himself, merging with technology of Griffin Station, while Samantha unleashes up the undead upon the base. So that's why we find out about Maxis for the first time in Black Ops, when you're on Moon. Oh shit, I did it again. October 14th, 1945. H. Porter activates the alarm. An outbreak occurs at Derice before the Sander collapse. He says he's all out of hope. God forgive us all. Oh, this is the Derice massacre. This is just a big outbreak that happens. October 14th, 1945. Richthofen returns to Derice and awakens Dempsey, Takio and Nikolai with no recollection of who they are and who Richthofen is. They all agree to help him, for the four would become known as the Ultimus. So that's the name of the group, the original Black Ops group. They are called Ultimus. So Ultimus is basically the name of the group, because all the groups got named, and we actually got finally a name after about, I don't know how many years it's been since Black Ops originally. World at War, their theories came out. So October 18th, 1945, Peter McCain parachutes over the Rising Sun facility. He died shortly after. Poor Peter McCain. October 21st, 1945, Shinonuma. Ultimatus travels to the Rising Sun facility to recover Richtofen's diary. Upon reading it, Richtofen begins to form his plan to defeat Samantha. So this is where Richtofen's plan comes into play for the first time. Oh, straight after his Dries. October 28th, 1945, Dries. Ultimatus returns to Dries with his diary. Richtofen plans to use the teleporter to return to the moon and confront Samantha. Unfortunately, the Wonderwolf DG2 overloads the teleporter and sends them through time, causing Richtofen to drop his diary. Oh, poor Richtofen, he gets Max's diary, then he drops it. Oh my fucking god! He gets the diary. Richtofen drops his. I said it wrong. Richtofen drops his own diary. That's got all his all his plans he's done with the Element 115. Poor Richtofen. Oh, this has got disbanded on Samantha's birthday. November 5th, 1945. Group 935 is disbanded. January 19th, 1946. The United States and the Soviet Union share resources to recover the Group 935's variation research stations. Richtofen's diary is among the items it recovers by the Soviet Union. So the Russians have Richtofen's journal. Oh my god, this is actually getting pretty cool now. January 27, 1946. The Pentagon hires many former Group 935 scientists in effort to replace their work. So they're basically, the Group 935 they just got a new boss. That's all they've got now. And they work for the president. January 29th, 1946. As within their US counterparts, the Soviets hire many former Group 935 scientists. Among them is Harvey Yerner, who forms the group, the Ascension Group. Oh, so that's the Ascension Scientist Group, who created Ascension and the Gersh devices. Yeah, it's this one. July 29th, 1952. The Pentagon begins to experiment involving their own variations of the undead. Ooh, dang. May 12th, 1945. The US government transfers a number of Element 15 experiments to Groom Lake. So that's why what do you call it? Area 51 Groom Lake is like got zombies everywhere at the beginning, and why they're constantly there. There's like so many of them, because that's where they do all their experiments. October 19th, 1955. Gersh and Yuri Zafakuzisk, I don't know how you pronounce that, begin working for the Ascension Group. So there's Yuri and Gersh. They're big in the story now. April 23rd, 1956. Shangri-La. Explorers Brock and Gary discover Shangri-La during the eclipse. They are unwittingly trapped in the time loop. Sally, sent back in from 2011, is trapped in the same loop. Ultimatus arrives in Shangri-La with help of Brock and Gary to acquire the Fux in stone. Did we just like completely jump over Ascension? Did we seriously just jump over Ascension and Kino? Yeah, we did. We jumped right over Ascension and Kino. Like Ascension and Kino like doesn't exist. Oh, Kino is down there. I just thought we just because I thought the DLCs went in order, but apparently according to this timeline it doesn't. June 3rd, 1956. The Pentagon constructs their own prototypes and teleports commence experiments. March 13th, 1962. Studying Group 935's medical elixir, the Ascension Group develops PhD Flopper and Stamina Up. Baby, my favourite perk of all time, PhD Flopper. Yes, I like Russians. November 11th, Remembrance Day, 1962. Gersh begins work on Project Thunder. I'm guessing that's the Thunder gun. December 12th, 1962. Gash and Yuri began work on the Gash device, codename Project Mercury. Ooh. June 15th, 1963, the Pentagon begins development on their own Wonder Wolf DG2. So that's probably why they've got the Wonder Weapons down below, like in the labs in 5. August 17th, 1963, the Pentagon develops their own version of the Winter's Howl. Ooh, Winter's Howl. I want that gun to return. October 20th, 1963, Kino der Toten. From the Doris, Ultimatus teleports to Kino. Marks the first time Ultimatus travels across space and time. Temporal rift occurs across dimensions in the light of development. Monty feels obligated to step in and begins to make changes in the background across time. He helps the Group 935 invent perk machines and adds chalk drawings to the walls, little nudges. Ultimatus locates a lunar lander and flies to Ascension. So that's how they get to Ascension. They just found a lander randomly around because Monty just wants to get involved. October 29th, 1963. Gersh informs the senior staff that Yuri has been removed from Project Mercury and been transferred to rocket research. So that's probably where Yuri's in Ascension. October 29th, 1963. Yuri begins to notice the appearance of the children's toys around the facility. November 1st, 1963. Upon reading Richtofen's diary, Yuri begins to hear Samantha's voice. Over several days, her voice will consume him, driving him into the brink of insanity. She orders him to resume work on the Gersh device. He obeys. So Yuri is the guy in Ascension for the Ascension Easter egg. November 4th, 1963. Gersh announces to his comrades the project funded is nearly complete. Gersh reveals Yuri may need to remove the Ascension entirely. He have been observed to his being hostile towards each other and frequently observed muttering to himself. So Yuri's kinda going insane right now. November 5th, 1963, another Samantha birthday. Obeys Samantha's wishes, Yuri tricks Gersh into activating the Gersh device. The rift created absorbs him and allows Samantha to travel through. Yuri is also absorbed and teleported to the Pentagon. November 6, 1963, Ascension. Ultimatus arrives to the Soviet Cosmodrome to free Gersh from the Casimir mechanism. It was Gersh. Gersh was in there. Richtofen recovers his diary and learns they need a real device and from the suburban facility for his plans. Maintaining ethereal form, Gersh sends them into a rift, their next destination from before being his travels across space and time. So I'm guessing Yuri or Gersh had Richtofen's general and they dropped it, and Richtofen was able to recover it for himself. October 6th, 1963, 5. In the Pentagon, John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, Robert McCain meet up with Fidel Castro in an aftermath of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Due to the events of the Cosmodrome, a zombie outbreak occurs. Samantha sends Yuri to the Pentagon to twat their survival. After Gersh is fled and Ultimus departs the Cosmodrome, the outbreak ends at the Pentagon and survive. So it looks like what do you call it? Yuri's the Pentagon thief. It took forever to see what Yuri was. We didn't know who Yuri was for a long time. He was the Pentagon thief. November 19th, 1963. In an effort to avoid another undead outbreak, the US government creates the Broken Arrow program. So the US government created Broken Arrow. Well, that's interesting. Established several facilities across the country. Groom Lake program is folded into Black Arrow. Ooh, Black Arrow. These guys are not good at all. These are bad news. August 11th, 1973. Broken Arrow recovers a shard of Element 115 from Division 9. So that's how Broken Arrow got their Element 115. September 29th, 1979. Russman begins to work at Black Arrow. Over the course of his employment, his executive exposed to element 115 significantly lost their memories. So that's why Russman loses his memory a lot, because he's exposed to element 115 and he loses that memory. That's why you can barely remember stuff. Buried. April 20th, 1983. Broken Arrow begins live animal experience with the Shard, creating bios. So that's related to the comic book. I know that's related to the comic books. I've read some of them. June 24th, 1986. A containment breach involving the bios occurs at one of the Broken Arrow facilities. Russman is one of the few that escaped alive. The facility is shut down and abandoned. Its projects are transferred to the other locations. Ooh, dang. June 24th, 1996. Victus arrives at the abandoned Broken Arrow facility, still being pursued by the undead Richtofen. They recovered the element 115 shard, departing through another rift. And so that's again with the comic book strip. I'll explain what Victus is later on. March 17th, 2011. Call of the Dead. After entering the rift, Optimus arrived at the suburban facility in 2011, where they found themselves trapped inside a closet while George Romero films at his latest project location. Samantha, in her pursuit for Ultimatus, unleashes an undead outbreak. The film's stars fight the undead horde, ultimately recovering the Vril device for Richtofen. Optimus teleports back to Shangri-La in effort to acquire the next artifact, requiring to defeat Samantha. The focus in stone. April 11th. Following the disappearance of Collar Dead cast, Romero's assistant Sally the research for her boss. Her journey leads her to Shangri-La, an eclipse which sends her back to April 23rd. 23rd. They put TH, not RD. Weird. There's probably a spelling error or untrace path, probably. 956. So that's how Sally got to Shangri-La. April 10th, 2025. Broken Arrow crits the denizens. That's just atrocious. July 8th, 2025. Broken Arrow accidentally crits the Avogadro. Oh yeah, that is an accident. No one wants to see that again. September 1st, 2025. In despite needing of more element 115, Broken Arrow uses an excavator to drill near the nuclear test facility known as Nuketown. So that's the Nuketown loading screen. That. This is the interesting bit. October 13th, 2025. Mood. Using the Vril device and the focusing stone, Richtofen completes his grand scheme, swapping bodies with Samantha on the moon, giving the full control of the zombies and the Aether. Maxis contacts the remaining members of the Ultimus through the station's electronics and asks for their help to defeat Richtofen. They agree. They launch missiles at the Earth, leaving fractured and broken. They saved Richtofen connections with the Aether, but maintains control over the zombies. Once Maxis controls the Aether in 2035, he returns to the moon, plucks Samantha from Richtofen's body to join them in Agartha. Ooh. October 13th, 2025. A nuclear bomb explodes outside Nuketown and result of Broken Arrow's drilling. CIA and CDC operatives arrive to find an undead outbreak already in progress. One of the missiles from the moon hits Nuketown, killing all on sight except for Marlton Johnson, who survives by hiding inside a nuclear bunker. Fucking hell, Marlton, you lucky bastard, hiding in there. October 13th, 2025. The Earth fractured trigger further temporal rifts, teleporting an 18 American Western town underneath a mining facility in Angola. Arthur is pulled through the rift from 1318, arriving in the new buried town. So that's basically how Arthur got to buried with the city. November 5th, another Samantha birthday, 2025. Broken Arrow is disbanded after the Prime facility is lost in a fire. It is believed to be an act of arson committed to by employees, destroying evidence in place in the outbreak. Russman, his mind broken after over 40 years of exposure to L115, begins to wander the earth. March 2027. In distress call, former CDC assistant George Barkley reveals that the infection contaminant has gone airbound. He advised the caution to regard any allies showing signs of short-term memory loss, or physical delusions, or paranoia. So basically, it's just saying that the infection, being zombie, it's got more than just biting. March 27, 2027. A society of survivors who the undead is formed. They are the flesh. May 12th, 2027. Samuel J. Stillinger joins the flesh. So that's how the flesh. June 28th of 2027. Through the cause pretensions of the undead me, the flesh began hearing Richtofen's voice. He tries to pursue them to build the global polymerization device. From him in pursuit of the new plan to mend the rift in time and space, acquire full control of the ether. June 28, 2027, Maxis begins communing with the survivors on Earth, telling these who will willing to listen build a global polymerization device for him to pursue his plan to open Agartha and reunite him with Samantha, even through it will resume the destruction of the Earth. So what these two have just been through is it's telling Richtofen's side of the Easter egg, and then it told us about Max's side. April 4th, 2028. The Flesh broadcast their message across all frequencies, telling others to heed our call, and that the path of the enlightenment can be achieved by consuming the undead. The Flesh broadcast message telling the others to heed their call, and that the path of enlightenment is achieved by consuming the undead. Ooh. December 9th, 2028. Maxis follows the beginning of construction the spire near the Handford site facility. January 3rd, 2029. Maxis follows the beginning of the doubt him, believing he may in fact be evil. They destroy their electronics. March 2nd, 2029. Maxis follows the attempt to speak to him. Many have begun to hear Richtofen, and those loyal to Maxis urgently await further instructions. So basically, these are just all the events leading up to Transit and all the Black Ops 2 crew. August 15, 2029. A progress is sent to confirming the fall of the Flesh and Maxis followers, with each group hearing the voice of Richtofen or Maxis. A battle is broken up between them as they fought a zombie horde moved in and out, destroyed all who remained. Stillinger is one of the few escaped. Richtofen and Maxis are left with no other communications near Green Run, where the first polymerization device must be constructed. So basically, we're about to get into Transit, because they're basically telling us to build the tower bubble and stuff to like get communication for the other stuff. October 13th, 2025. Stillinger bumps into Russman, who has stolen a bus from an abandoned Broken Arrow facility. So I'm guessing Ted was made by Broken Arrow. So Russman stole it. October 21st, 2035. Transit. Stillinger and Russman run into Malton Johnson and Abigail Mr. Bryington at the diner near the Hanford site facility. So the facility in Transit is the Hanford site facility, the one where the Avogadro is held. Max has asked them to complete the polymerization device in his favour. Stillinger, having consumed the zombie meat, is contacted by Richtofen, who orders Stillinger to construct the device for him instead. The crew construct the device for Maxis. The four would become known as Victus. So that's what I was telling you about earlier. So Victus is the transit crew. So what we saw earlier with Victus is the transit crew. October 22nd, 2035, Die Rise. Still hoping to regain control, Richtofen teleports Victus to Provenance 22, which he demands Stillinger activate the second polymerization device. Once again, the Crusader Maxis. The voices cease for some time, leaving Victus to wander the earth. December 31st, 2035, buried. Victus arrives at the old western town, now located beneath a mining facility in Angola. They discover Arthur is in a jail cell. He assists them on the journey. The voice of Maxis and Richtofen return. They activate the following polymerization device in Maxis' favor. Now corrupted by the Dark Aether, he reveals his true intentions to Victus and punish Richtofen by trapping his soul in a body drawn into Agatha by her father. Samantha witnesses evil and has corrupted. With a rift opens Dimension 63 in 1918. She reaches out to the Timeline's Maxis for help. Oh, so there, when Maxis gets control of the Aether, and he's like evil because it's dark and like he wants to blow up the Earth from buried. Basically, Samantha, because she's still got a bit of power, she reaches out to Maxis in Origins and asks him for help. Because 1918 is where Origins takes place. January 10th, 2036, Richtofen instructs the undead to pursue Victus and recover their blood vials. So, yeah, so that's what I think, yeah. This is what I thought. So, I'm guessing this is Primus Richtofen talking to the transit crew at Victus to retrieve Ultimus Richtofen's blood for, like, something later on. That's what I'm thinking that is. January 19th, 2036, Primus Richtofen begins to manipulate Stuhlinger, opening a rift for Victus to begin their new journey. Pursued by undead Richtofen and an army of undead, Victus enters the rift. So, the transit crew do survive from buried. We all thought they died. No, they survived. January 19th, 2036, Maxis destroys the Earth and all its surviving inhabitants. So, the original dimension that had the original storyline, what I've just been through with you all, gets destroyed. And transit crews are like the only ones that survive. So, the Ultimus versions of the characters, so the World at War and Black Ops versions of the characters, die. And that's basically what happens. And they all die because it gets destroyed. And that dimension's destroyed and cannot, like, no one can enter that ever again because the Maxis from that dimension destroys it. But that's the end of the first story of the In the Beginning timeline, because that's the longest timeline out of all of them. I'll show up on screen which timeline I'm on about on the page of where all of them are. So it's basically the big spiral in the middle. It's that timeline. So we've gone through the biggest timeline and we have to go through the other smaller three. But this is the biggest one because this was the original timeline that originally happened. But that's basically it. Remember to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And remember to stay awesome, like, subscribe. Go.